Hello everyone, Phobos here, just coming out with another video. This is just going to be a test run of the Freezing Pulse, or I guess Quad Freezing Pulse Totem build through a map for the beta for 3.0, Phase 1. So, because I didn't include any gameplay footage with my other update, very incomplete still. I'm going to get into just the details of where the character is at later, but I'm just going to do the run now so that if somebody just wants to see how the run goes, they can just look at that. So as you can see with all 6 power charges, we're running at about 57k damage. And then if we get the frenzy charges in here, we're at like 63k damage. Pop our flask, go a little bit higher than that. Pretty easy to maintain the frenzy charges. As I let them drop, right? Just not really used to maintaining frenzy charges. So. Why is that like marked as a good item? I'll have to check that out. Maybe they buffed it. Oh, it's probably because it's mistaken with the Tukahama shield. Here's the tunnel trap. So he dies pretty easily. I think I only got my pen on him at the end. You can see it's not really that much different from the build on live. It's just going to be stronger relative to some of the other builds that were on live because those builds are now nerfed in beta, so most of them not even viable, I guess. Yeah, not too much different than live. And that's pretty much the run poured out. Just about the build right now. So as you can see, the life and the ES are very low because I'm somewhat of a low level still, only level 84. Don't have access to my second ascendancy, don't have access to skill points that are going to come from the next few acts. So just missing a lot of stuff from the tree and mainly focused on prioritizing damage, even though we're still missing a little bit of damage. So once this build gets all its points and is a higher level, going to be a lot more survivability. It was like, I think around 5 point something K health and 2 point something KS with like 1,000 mind over matter or mana for mind over matter. It sort of depends on how you want to configure the mana you can choose to run or not run certain things. But so the survivability is going to be pretty good for a beta build. Other than that, so why did we want to try Ascendant? Well, basically because nothing has really changed with the other Ascendancies, and Ascendant I feel like got a massive buff, especially for totems. This change to Hierophant, the 50% chance to gain a power charge. I actually requested this on the forum or some form of buffing this, and I'm not sure if they either just listened to that or if they could have just deemed that it was necessary themselves, but kind of makes me feel happy that maybe I affected some type of change in the game. So I'm just really happy they did that because it buffed the character super hard. Because now you can make an Ascendant version where you don't really have to worry about your power charge upkeep at all, which is just sometimes annoying in some cases, even when you were using the swap weapon method and the rallying cry to generate charges. So I feel like this is just a lot less of a pain in the ass and lets you keep your frenzy charges up a lot easier because you don't have to worry about your power charges. And the other cool thing about this node is you gain mana, which is good for mind over matter, and mana regen. You gain 10% of your maximum mana as energy shield, which is amazing. Um, just for survivability, and then on top of that you gain another totem in your helm, and that's really good because right now the totem is only I think 18k DPS projected with no buffs, and this is 31k no buffs. But when you have in BIS gear, I guess, or not really BIS gear, but in gear where you have your character fully set up, I'll say, this additional totem does about 100k or 111k freeze pulse. And the reason for that is you put it in a horror helm, which is like, I think it's 30 or 40% more elemental damage. And then you basically just put it with control destruction, spell totem, faster casting, and freezing pulse. And it does basically 111k more damage, which is nice because on a boss you can just drop your 3 totems +1, and it's 100k, about 100k, a little bit more extra free damage, which is great. So yeah, I think that node is actually the MVP of the Ascendant for totems. It really increases your damage output by a lot, and there's not really any other node in here that's going to increase it by a similar amount. Assassin, I think, was the highest second node that I simmed, so I'm probably going to go with that, or at least try it. But you can also go with Deadeye here for the prod speed, because prod speed is always amazing, and fires an additional projectile. You can either do 6 projectiles with 2 first nodes, or 4 projectiles with 1 first node. I don't recommend cutting out first node completely, because your spread will probably be pretty bad. And then the projectile damage, as projectiles travel further, isn't really that good, but it's not like terrible either. So Elementalist was also a consideration, but you don't really get the conflux since you're not doing it. You don't get the reflect reduction. So it's basically just the 6% of elemental damage enemy elemental resistances that you're penning, and you get an extra golem, but the golem's not buffed in any form, or it doesn't give you any form of damage like the real elementalist. So yeah, I think the best one by far is Assassin, just because the crit affects everything, and the crit multi is really nice in the first hit. Also, Assassin and, or not Assassin, but Shadow and Ranger both give you dexterity, which is really nice because a lot of times you're lacking for dex. In builds like this, you may have to take a point from the tree, so this saves you a point from there, and you're getting extra points from just going Scion to begin with. You're basically getting 1, 2, 3. You're getting like 5 extra points just by going Scion. Um, and then you're saving a point probably from being able to take one of these. So yeah, you're coming out with around +6 points, which is really pretty awesome. So yeah, I think Ascendant is probably going to be the best class for this build. I mean, Elementalist is still really good. Inquisitor is still really good. Inquisitor and Elementalist, or at least Elementalist, I simmed it, which is I'm pretty sure higher than Inquisitor because I simmed it on live, and Elementalist is higher. But Elementalist does more damage than this up front, I guess you would say, but then by like about 15k, I think. It was like when I simmed in like endgame gear, it was like 280k per totem versus 270 some per totem. Or, I think it was about like a 15k difference. But that's not factoring in the extra totem from the Scion, or the fact that you can generate frenzy charges easier as Scion. So if you add in the frenzy charge and the extra totem, you're actually doing even more damage than you otherwise would be, and you're getting the 40% more crit multi on first hit. So yeah, I think Ascendant is probably going to be the way to go overall. And yeah, I think Wise Oak just makes it. Well, it makes Elementalist better than Inquisitor as well, but yeah, just the fact that you have like Frostbomb and Wise Oak, you basically have so much free penetration that the Inquisitor penetration isn't really as attractive because you can really send things into the negative. So, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it that I want to go over. But Yeah, I don't think there's really anything else. Oh, in terms of the frenzy thing, I wanted to mention that the reason why I only have this in a one link is just because of these wands I happen to get. These are actually really good wands, but they're unfortunately corrupted. So you can't change the sockets in them, but they were godlike, so I had to pick them up anyway. Um, and I would have this in like a great GMP with faster attacks probably, or maybe even chain, just to make the frenzy charge generation that much easier. And at that point, it would be super easy to keep up frenzy charges, so wouldn't really be any issues there at all. I don't think there's really anything else that I need to point out. I think I already mentioned use the horror thing to get the 40% more elemental damage, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions or anything, just leave them in the comments. I'm going to be testing this build in depth with hopefully a lot better gear in the next phase of the beta. I just didn't want to get too crazy about it in this phase because we have 4 ascendancy points. Whoop-de-doo. So yeah, I should hopefully be testing out a lot more in the future, and the build should be a lot stronger. And next time I make a guide, you'll probably see it at full strength. So that's pretty much it. And if you like the content, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.